Welcome to the quarterfinals episode of Spring Showcase. We got 3 episodes left. I'm Michael Washington. He's Daniel Villalpando. Here we're Shady Sports Network. Spring Showcase. We're winding down here. We're into playoff football. Daniel, first and foremost, how you doing, my man? And welcome to another episode, man.
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm excited. Enjoyed some good playoff football. Playoff football is always great. But other than that, man, I mean, we're doing good over here in deep south, hot Texas.
I was going to say hot. I mean, you guys are able to fry bacon on the sidewalk right now, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely right now. It's over triple digits.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just told him off air before we came on that we don't have the ACs in here over here in Maine yet.
Crazy.
And Daniel's like, we've had them in since like January.
We live with them. We live with them on constant 68. So
yeah. No, for sure. And 68 is very comfortable indoors. So this is a little sweltering for us. It's supposed to cool off for us up here in Maine. If 86 is cool for some people like Daniel, I'm sure it is.
I'll take it. I'll take it any day of the week. I'll tell you that.
So we didn't have a show last week, as most of you know. There was only one game. There was really no need to, come on and discuss it when we were getting a rematch in the first round anyways, if everything worked out the way that it was going to work out. The Raptors beat the Hefes at the end to round out the regular season. The rematch happened in the playoffs, first round of the playoffs. The Raptors won 30-26, eliminated the Hefes. The one thing about this game was it was close, and either one of these teams could have won.
Yeah, it definitely showed the playoff atmosphere, right? I mean, it definitely gave off those vibes, and that was the game we were very interested to see how it was going to play out. It was kind of a toss-up game, and that was the one where we kind of had our eyes on. I mean, you don't want to say that the previous game, the Fundidores and the Dinos, was a given, or in any sense, it is still playoff football. But that game was the one where there were so many questions to be answered. And the fact that the Raptors pulled that off was in the fashion they did was kind of evident of why everyone loves playoff football.
Yeah, and this game to me came down to the factor of showing Lopez Guerrero's growth. The national quarterback, he was one of 2. They both teams that had national quarterbacks ended up making the playoffs. The Raptors are still in it. The Dinos, lost at the Fundidores in the second game on Monday, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But, this was a game that I felt was kind of a coming out party for Lopez. Yeah. It really, really showed his growth from the start of the year with this Raptors team to where he's at now. It's still got a lot of things to work on, but overall, I mean, you put up 30 points against a team that you didn't score 30 points against the week before. So you were doing something right, and it was really Lopez keeping his cool and his composure.
Yeah, it showed the maturity, it showed the growth, and that's what you want going into the playoffs, right? That's what you want going into as far as the rematch. Everyone kind of takes a different approach to it, right? I mean, you're either going to continue to try to do the things that got you there, or, of course, in their case, they're going to have to develop something different, and clearly it worked. And what it did is, a huge shout out to the national quarterbacks that are in the playoffs. A huge congratulations. I know the talks around a lot of the guys down there is that's really, really huge. So it's good to see that that's something that actually transpired. But again, I mean, you hit it right, the nail right on the head. It's the fact that his calm and his kind of patience and demeanor in the pocket helped, and it showed him be the leader. And that's what you need out of your national quarterback, right? You need him to show that he's the leader. and he did just that, advancing them and taking them to the next round.
And the key play to me was the play, even though the wide receiver was wide open on a blown coverage by the
Yeah,
Hefes. That play though showed it to me because he was a little bit under pressure. He had to roll out a little bit. He needed to manipulate the pocket slightly, and then he needed to make sure he delivered a ball that he wasn't going to overthrow or underthrow or mess up to a wide open receiver. A lot of quarterbacks sometimes will tell you those are the hardest passes to
yeah,
make, right?
exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And you said it great. And the fact that, of course, to the naked eye, right, and you're gonna see it as like, oh man, well, that's a layup touchdown. Those are tough. Those aren't easy, man. Those are very difficult to make, and he pulled that through. And I agree with you. That was that backbreaker play that really showed where he is at this stage of his season.
And it's great for the Raptors, even though they do have to travel to take on the Mexicas, upcoming in the semifinals, because this team we've discussed all year has been one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Correct.
This offense starts putting it together; they make them dangerous. And I said it, and you said it weeks ago that this Raptors team was a team to keep an eye on moving forward into this process. They ended up with the 3 seed, which was something that I don't think either one of us predicted at the early start of the game,
Definitely not.
or the
Yeah.
start of the year. That Easter break really did wonders for this team and has really brought them together. But this defense has been kind of the vocal point, and the saying, defense wins championships. So
Yeah, look, I mean, it's setting up to be one of those huge clashes, right? And this is kind of what we were leaning to. The fact that if this happens, if they advance and they do play the run heavy Mexicas, right? Mexicas, you're going to understand that this is those football games that analysts and fans, true football fans, they salivate at the mouth for, right? I mean, you're going to have a good defensive team that the offense is, just like you said, the offense is starting to show up. Which, by one, that's scary, right? I mean, they're starting to pull their weight, but you have the Mexicas team, which is a run heavy team. It's going to be a physical game. It's going to be a great matchup. It's crazy, like you said, how it ended up coming to be, but I'm so excited for that game. That game's going to be good. And I know we'll preview it as we go along.
well, and one of the things that I did want to mention too that we need to keep an eye on when it comes to this is we are looking at a situation where I believe it's been 3 straight wins now for the Raptors. They have gone on a little bit of a tear here at the end of the season, but this is 3 straight weeks of them playing.
Yeah.
They beat the oh no, they sorry. Yeah, they beat the Hefes. So they actually lost to the Caladios their third game ago. So they're on a 2-game win streak, and both games were against the Hefes. But you know, they're going into a situation where the team that they're playing, the Mexicas, has a bye week or 2 bye weeks. Like they're off for 2 weeks basically, heading into this game, or it's been 2 weeks since they last played. So it's a well rested team going in against a team that has played. Um, you have to hope if you're the Raptors that it's not a situation where they get overconfident or they're running into a situation where they're not as healthy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah, no, and that's correct. And on the flip side, right? I mean, you hear it all the time. We love football. We absolutely love all levels of it, and we hear it every single time. Did the bye week hurt you, or did it help you? Especially in the playoffs, especially going into that next round, it's very crucial. How was practice? How is the team doing? How did you guys gel? Did you guys disperse? Did everyone kind of go their own way? Did the chemistry kind of like break down a little bit? It's very interesting to see, especially at the professional level. Not everyone's going to be hanging out with each other every single day and things of that nature, right? But you have to understand that momentum with 2 games, regardless if they're against the same team, momentum's huge, right? Big Mo stands in the room, and it's always there. It's hard to miss. So that's another factor that adds into this playoff game because that extra week at the end with that makeup game, every team got that week off, right? Besides the teams that had to play. But you think about it, and you said it right. 2 weeks off is tough. It's not easy to overcome. You kind of start itching at it. So we'll see if they're hungrier or if they fell asleep a little and they're going to have kind of sleepwalk through that first quarter a little bit.
Now, our first comment here from, I mean, if you want to crack at that, because I don't think I can say that. I mean, I'm going to butcher it if I say it.
El Histerlador,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a tough one.
Yeah. He said the first quarter was awful for the Raptors offense, but the last one was marvelous. And, I have to agree 100%. And that's part of the Lopez growth that we were talking about at the top of the show was this really was where he decided to put the team on his shoulders offensively, and he got himself settled into that fourth quarter to really give it to the Hefes. Because let's be honest, the Hefes were in control of this game for a majority of it.
Yeah,
It wasn't
absolutely.
until late that it really started becoming this back and forth battle. It was pretty much the Hefes in control for most of the game, and I want to take my hat off to the Hefes because they didn't have a fantastic season, but they made the playoffs and they were there when it counted, to get a chance to win and move on. It just didn't fall their way this year, but they don't have anything to be ashamed about. A lot to hang their hat on.
Yeah, they fought hard and finished hard, and that's going to go a long way going into the next season.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that we talked about. It's not how you start; it's how you finish type of situation, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's not a situation where we're talking about like and they should be proud about how they finished the season, even though they lost in their home, because they did have a chance to win this game. I mean, if it wasn't for a blown coverage at the end, they were well on their way, to being the team that goes to take on the Cadios. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Cinderella. Yeah, exactly. They were a couple plays away from being that Cinderella story, and it was good to see them finish that way, man. I mean, I know we talked about them and how they changed their season around, so it was good. Hopefully, we see kind of a Gallos Negros situation coming in next year. They kind of start building off that momentum. It's good for the league. It's good for the LFA.
Anytime there's parity and a lot of leveling out like that, and improvement amongst the quote unquote bottom teams, it's always good for a league to
Absolutely,
happen. So yeah,
yes, sir.
the second game, Monday night game, Dinos and the Fundadors. This game was pretty well how we predicted it across the board. We didn't really expect the Dinos to really put a lot of pressure on the Fundadors. Unfortunately, we didn't think that their offense was strong enough, but they surprised us. A
Yeah,
late a late touchdown made it 20-17 with a chance to win the game down the stretch. It just got away from them at the end there, and the Fundadors ended up winning 26-17. I was a little bit surprised by this, to be honest with you, because I expected the Fundadors to stay in control for most of the game, which they did, but there was a little shaky moments there down the stretch, which I didn't expect.
yeah, quite a few shaky moments. Their offense looks so good. It's crazy. It's Fundidores, right? And they look extremely efficient when they want to, but when they look bad and there's mistakes and things happen, which this game kind of felt like that. It was that sloppy game. A lot of pressing. It felt like, right. I mean, in my opinion, try to like close out the game, trying to close it out, trying to pull away and things. And it was a tough, right? So, flip side with the Dinos is when they did capitalize on turnovers and they did have these moments, their offense just couldn't really finish through, which is crazy to say because I mean we were talking about the Fundidores giving up over 200 points in the regular season defensively.
Mm.
So we thought this. That's why when they got up and the Dinos were up and we are like, oh man, in my head, all I could think about was is a collapse coming, is a breakdown coming, right? And again, I'm a Fundidores fan. I'm a true fan of the team, but your football analyst starts coming in and you've been there. I've been there when it feels like
Mm.
quicksand, right? We hear it, right? The great Shane Falco said it. That quicksand is a scary mother, and sometimes when things go wrong, things continue to steamroll that way. So shout out to the Fundidores for actually putting a stop to that, getting their feet out of the mud, continuing to do what they do best, and they did a great job. And you said it, they controlled the hugest portion of the game. And anytime anything went wrong, they fought back from it. And to me, that shows a lot more character than just blowing someone out. So shout out to them setting up an immense game next week, and it's or this week, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good one.
The Fundadors were an interesting team this year because the offensive firepower was there. We all knew it was there. We
Yeah,
we we talked about it all season, but it was always this defense that when it came down to it was the defense here. that really really struggled and caused this team to lose some, a lot of shootout games. And Shelton Epler, had another fantastic season, but they ended up at 4-4. They lost games that were surprising, that we didn't think that they should lose. They were in games that we didn't expect them to be in. One of them being the Cadillos in the regular season. They only lost
Yeah.
by 2 points in that game, and they were coming off miserable showings the 2 weeks beforehand, or the week beforehand. So, um, yeah, this Fundadors team has just been very uh, volatile. Really, I mean, it's just been so inconsistent, and
Yeah.
they're going in against a team on short rest. By the way, I don't. This schedule was it was brutal. It was brutal for this Dinos and Fundadors game, because you had a
Yeah.
game on Monday night, and then you're
Monday
going to
night.
Friday night against the best team in the league, the Caldios.
Yeah.
Uh, that's brutal, man. That you have to hope the Caldios are rusty. You have to.
Yeah, man, and not only did they play Monday night, they played Monday 9 p.m. their time, 9 p.m. local time for them. So, man, there's you don't want to be the conspiracy guy, right? But I put my tinfoil hat on, and that one was kind of rough to see that happen. And I mean, this is professional football. They're not kids. They're not 18 years old. When we were 18, 19, you go play tackle football, you go play with your buddies, you put on your basketball shoes right after, go play basketball, go home, wrestle. I mean, it's you'll recover. They're grown. They're grown men, and that game was physical. That game was explosive. So the rest standpoint, I'm glad you touched on that, because that's very very important. And Friday night game is going to be. I mean, shout out to us. We love football all year round, but I mean that's going to be a rough one. So it's interesting.
I mean, we can jump into the preview since it's the first game on the docket. Looking back at the regular season game, the Fundadors had to lead at halftime in that first game, and then they ended up the fourth quarter, it got away from them a little bit. It was a 5 point differential in the fourth that had them lose 36-34. Um, what should we expect from this? Because again, we're talking about a situation where the Cadillos have been off for 2 weeks now, well rested, and the best team in the league, going against a team that just played on Monday night in a physical matchup that, they never really were out of control with it, but there was some shaky moments, like, and it was physical. I mean, can we expect another high shootout here? That's a close game. It's playoff football, so
Yeah, and I think the profiles that are at quarterback, right? Epler, Johnson, you see and understand that they know it's crunch time. They know they're ready to roll, right? And those guys show up. Big time players show up in big time games, and I think it's going to be an offensive shootout. The huge question is which defense can bend and not break, right? And I think the combination and chemistry of Epler and Auger. By the way, Tommy Augers to me is a stud, dude. I love tight ends. I love true tight ends. They're going to get out there and play. I think he's the X factor to their offense in this game. They have to be able to attack those linebackers. That the Caudillos, they have a very good staff of downhill guys. They'll play okay in the coverage. The D line helps them a ton, but I think that's going to be a crucial factor. But yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a shootout. I mean, for football's sake, I'm an offensive guy. Mike, I'm an offensive guy, so I love points, man. So I hope it's going to be a shootout.
and you see, I'm the complete opposite. I like the run game. I like the defense. I like the control style of play. Could call me old school or just call me old. I don't care. But I mean, it's just for me. It's more of the fundamentals of football. And I
Of
think that
course.
when you have a ball control game and more of a run and defensive style of offense and defense, it kind of brings it a little more of a strategy to it, right?
I agree.
It's not just like, oh, we can let them score whatever. Our team's going to go put up 40 anyways. Who the hell cares, and I get that that's not always the case. It's just I appreciate the game in front of me today. It's not like I'm just like, oh man, this new school stuff. I don't care about that.
Exactly.
That I still love the game today. It's just I like the ball control, and I honestly think that that's going to be a downfall for the Fundadors in this game. Is they don't have that style of offense to be able to
Yeah.
grind out long drives to be able to, like, they're explosive, or they're three and out. I mean, they very rarely grind out anything. So Tommy Auger is an X factor for the Fundadors in this case, because he is a guy that you could, if it's 3rd and 3, run an out route to Auger and let him try to just go grind out that touchdown, or I mean that first down, because you're going to need those first downs against the Caudillos to beat them. You have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, and that's something that I wish I want to see. I don't want to say I wish, but I want to see them extend. I know a lot of modern day football, the quick game is kind of an extension of your run, right? 3 dunks to your for your 4 yards, things of that nature. I think if the Fundidores can get better at that, using Auger, using their backs out of the backfield, just in a quick game, like you said, I mean, you have to control the clock. You have to try to keep their offense off. And I know it's tough, right? I mean, you're pinning your ears back. Your offense is go, 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 and you don't want to change your identity into this game. But a game plan is a game plan for a reason. And I think if they can do a good job of dinking, dunking, and moving, making their drives longer, their version of grinding it out. And if they can do that successfully, I think it's going to be a whole different ballgame.
And you take a look at a guy like Jamar Johnson in comparison to Sheldon Epler, where Jamar is a little more of a dual threat kind of guy. He has the
Yeah.
ability to extend this plays, get outside the pocket, and run. Epler doesn't really do a lot of that. He can, but it's not like it's a threat. Defenses don't have to necessarily
Yeah.
game plan for it, right? Like he can do it, but it's not a it's essentially, it's like when Aaron Rodgers used to do it with Green Bay. Like, Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers may rush for, 400 yards on a season, but a lot of it's just because the defense just didn't care because they didn't do it enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, exactly. Exactly.
this game is going to come down to this, and I hope the Fundadors are able to find a way to help their defense out, because I've always said a good offense also helps a average defense, and the
Yeah.
Fundadors defense has been Swiss cheese. So this gives them a chance to, if you can stay on the field, get well rested, maybe you can go out and make a play and get the Caudillos out of their rhythm on offense, and that's going to be the biggest thing for the Fundadors to win. On
Absolutely.
on the flip side of this, if you're the Caudillos, you really don't have to change much, right? You've been undefeated the whole year. You've been down this stretch. It was a comeback behind victory against the Fundadors. When you played in the regular season, that was really your closest game all year. So there is still a little bit of a threat in the back of your mind, because you're like, they almost did it to us once, right? So we got to be on our P's and Q's. But overall, they don't really have much they need to change.
Yeah, and that's the only thing, right? I mean, that was a great point. It's the team that gave you the toughest challenge was the team you're about to play, and the team that showed, hey, they're not scared to go blow for blow and stand in the middle of the ring and go for it. And it's really depending on how you prepped for this, right? I mean, how you prepped for this, going knowing that you had a bye week, knowing that you're about to take them on, and they played. They're in a short week. If their game plan stays the same and the way they've taken care of it, it's one factor. They can't turn over the ball as much as they have been. They
Mm-hmm.
have to take care of the ball. That's the biggest thing. And if Jeremy Johnson can do that, and the team can do that, I think they'll be good. I think they'll take care of what they're supposed to. It's just a big factor of who's going to make the mistake first, because we saw the Fundidores make plenty of mistakes last week, right? And you can't play like that against a team as good as the Caudillos. They're one of, if not the best team that's played professional football there in Mexico, and in a short span. But I mean, they're looking really good. They just have to do their part and keep doing what they do. They just got to limit those turnovers, man. You can't give an offense that the Fundidores have and a quarterback like Epler more opportunities and more momentum.
Yeah, I realize I called him Jamar Johnson. I apologize. His
Oh
middle
yeah,
name, his middle name is Lamar, and I was reading his name and I put Jeremy and Lamar together on that. So, but his name is Jeremy Johnson. I apologize for
no,
calling him
no,
Jamar, but well, for anybody out there listening, I do know what I'm talking about. I think 90% of the time, maybe, but I just combined them. All right, here we go. We did the game preview. Let's go. This is the first semifinal game. This is going to determine who gets into the championship game. The Fundadors and the Caudillos. I know you're a Fundados fan. Can they pull up the upset? What's your prediction and score here?
I'm gonna go. My official prediction is gonna be 36-33, last second field goal. The Fundidores pull it out and they squeak by and get themselves in the championship. I think Epler's gonna have the game he's supposed to have, and I think they're meant for it, man. I think they're doing a great job. I think it's gonna be a crazy, hostile environment, but I'm gonna give them last second field goal, 36-33.
I had a feeling this one might be one that we're different on. I'm going to Cadios as much as I know that your Fundadors, what they mean to you, and they are, one of the better offensive teams in the league. I just worry about this defense. I worry about the short rest. I worry that um, that loss in the regular season may overfuel them. Like they may be too amped for a revenge for a
Yeah,
revenge game. Though I do like Sheldon Epler's experience in this situation. I do like the fact that he is a top dog as far as a quarterback is concerned. Jeremy Johnson's had a great year. It's the turnovers for me that I'm worried about, and the Cadios are very, very good at creating turnovers. This game is going to be close. I don't know if it's going to be a last second field goal, but I think we might get like a late fourth quarter touchdown. And I'm going to say the Cadios are going to win this 33-27. And I'm going to say 33-27.
yeah.
Um, you know, I am rooting for the Fundadors. I know I probably shouldn't say that as an analyst. I am rooting for the Fundadors just because I like an underdog.
Yeah,
That's
of
the reason
course.
why. So,
Yeah, and those are great points. I mean, you said it right. I mean, the turnovers are the big question, and God, those are good, man. They're good. I really hope if you haven't caught a game yet, which is a crime in itself, everybody.
it's a
But if you
travesty. Yeah.
exactly, if you haven't caught a game, please tune in. Trust me, it's regardless of how the game goes, blowout or not. These two teams are coached well. They're led well. I think it's a great game to catch.
All right. The other semifinal preview that we are looking at in this situation, the Raptors, after beating the Hefes for 2 weeks to get into the playoffs, wrap up the number 3 seed. They are traveling to the number 2 seed Mexicas. Now we discussed a little bit on the last show a little bit about how the Mexicas, the Easter break really didn't do them any favors. They have been very inconsistent since that break. Their run game that was so dynamic at the beginning of the year has kind of faltered a little bit, and they've lost games that you wouldn't have expected them to lose.
Yeah.
Um, Here they are as the 2 seed. They're now rested heading into this the semifinal matchup right before the championship game, which is great for them. Maybe it came at the perfect time. But they are facing a Raptors team that, make no mistake about it, this team is good. Like we
Yep.
spent some time at the top of the show talking about how good they are, and this game is going to come down to the Raptors defense versus the Mexico's run game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if they can continue this trajectory, the Raptors, if they can continue, which is scary to think, but if they can continue the success that they're leading to and the development of how this team is coming together, because that's what it felt like. It felt like this team had each other's back, and it's hard to kind of see it, but I know the football guys, you know, they can feel it. You could see it, and that's going to be something that's crucial, right? I mean, the fact that they've not only played but they won back-to-back games, and they played a tough team. That their last loss was against one of those tough teams, so they felt the best team in the league, right? They've understand what they just came through, and the fact that they're fixing their things is a lot of confidence. I think it's going to be a great battle. The last time the Mexicas and the Raptors played, it was very interesting to see their game plan to the run game. So I'm very excited to see how the Mexicas do. I think that's going to be the crucial thing. I know we're talking about how well the Raptors offense can get, where they're going, but I think to see if they say, look, this is our identity, we're going to run it down your throat, and that's what the Mexicans are going to do, or if they try to use different things and they try to change things up here and there, right? Use Tim Whitfield as a diversion. It's interesting to see where it's going to be, and that game is really exciting for me. I really love a surging team against a team that's supposed to be there.
Well, and touching on that regular season game, and we in the regular season, the 29-21 victory for the Mexicas. But the Raptors, this has been kind of the story for them, as they're a slow starting team.
Yep.
And I feel like they can't do that this week in order to do it, because in that game against the Mexicas, they outscored the Mexicas in the second half, 14-9. So
Yeah.
they were able to slow down that run game. They were able to slow down the team in the second half. It was just the first half the game got away from them.
Yeah.
So the Raptors have been there, and even if you go back and take a look at the Cadillacs game, heading back, another slow start for them. They had the second and third quarter where they were in it, but it just never really came to fruition for them. They weren't able to put that together. Um, so the Raptors are a team that can't afford to have another slow start in this game, because the Mexica's run game is going to control this clock, especially with
Yep.
Tim Whitfield back there. And let's face it, Tim Whitfield should be in the conversation for MVP of this year.
Yeah, and look, there's one way, there's two ways you can stop a run game, right? And one of them is going to be very, very grueling on the body. You gotta get in there. You're gonna have to make it happen, or your offense starts hot. You pull and you start getting yourself away. Get yourself one stop. Get 10 points on the board, 14 points. It turns into a two possession game. Run games are non-existent. It's a very, very thin line where coaches decide, hey, we're going to stick to the game plan. We're only down by this. We're only down by this. Not a lot of coaches get into that vibe. You pull, you start hot. The Raptors start hot. You don't know how that coaching staff on the other side is going to react. Maybe they pull the reins and they're like, hey, we got to go, man. We got to start throwing. We need to catch up. There's a lot of emotion in the game of football.
Mm.
So if you start hot as the Raptors, you're going to find yourself in the driver's seat to get yourself to the championship, and that's crucial. I mean, we just saw it right from one of our visitors earlier, right? One of our viewers, and bad first quarter, great fourth quarter. That's
Right.
literally what they've been doing.
Yeah.
If they can find a way to play 4 quarters of football, right? The typical cliche, we got to play all
Yeah.
4 quarters, and but it's true. It's a massive factor in it, and that's what I think this confidence is. That's why I feel it's very interesting. If that confidence can build and start immediately, you can slow down what the inevitable is, which is power here, dive here, zone here, and if you can stop that and slow it down, then it's going to be a crazy matchup. Just got to
Yeah.
start off hot.
And Kenyon Allen has played great all year for the Mexicas. We'll talk on that in a second. Our trusty viewer, by the way, thank you so much for tuning in as always here on Spring Showcase. Said that if the Raptors make the final, it'll be their fourth championship game, but they haven't won a single one. That's a nice little tidbit, a nice little nugget that I actually was unaware of. So this is a situation for me as far as the Raptors are concerned. I've been kind of pulling for them, silently, because of the fact that they have a national quarterback. I really love that part of it. It's nothing against the American imports by any means. It's just, it goes to show that there's talent everywhere, right? Like,
Yeah,
it just goes to
absolutely.
show it. So now on the Mexico side, Tim Whitfield, Kenyon Allen has been a dynamic 1-2 punch. Kenyon Allen finished third in the league in passing for the regular season, and uh, it was inconsistent though coming out of Easter break for this team. It was very inconsistent. Um, if they aren't on their A game coming out of this break, um, they might be taken by surprise if the Raptors do start off hot.
Yeah, that's why we talk about this bye week being interesting, right? I mean, the last bye week they had, it showed to pay, negatively towards them, and it's, yes, you're in the playoffs, and you can say all you want, like, hey, it's playoff time, man, it's playoff time, we're here, whatever. All this talk, all that stuff, you still had to rest, you still had to go through it. So you're playing against a team, and that's actually a great point. You're playing against a team and an ownership group and maybe a coaching staff that's been there. They've been to championship games. They've played championship football. So, whether they've won one or not, I mean, that's tough. That's obviously tough in itself. But getting there is not an easy feat. And the fact that they have the prime
No.
position to do it is gonna be great to see.
So they're either the Minnesota Vikings of the Mexican League, or they're the Buffalo Bills. I don't think it was four in a row for them with losses, but still, They're one of the two
Yeah,
teams.
I think I think the Bills get 4 in a row.
The Bills got 4 in a row, lost all four,
Oh my
including us,
god!
including that Scott Norwood field goal kick that was missed. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
was pretty
that one
fantastic.
is wild.
The other little tidbit about that, a nice little nugget on that one too, is it was all against NFC East opponents.
Uh, Beautiful, but
Washington, Washington Giants, and Dallas twice. No Eagles. Notice how there was no Eagles there in that one.
I was about to say,
That,
there was one missing there. That's one missing there, but
yeah. So,
we'll cry later about that.
all right, preview done, accomplished. Now it's time for the other one. Big prediction. The second semifinal game. This will determine and set it. For you, it's the Fundadors. Who will the Fundadors be taking on in the championship game coming out of the second game between the Raptors and the Mexicas?
I think it's going to be a great grinded out type game. As an offensive lineman, I'm going to love to see it. We've been riding with this man for a while. I think Tim Whitfield has a great game. He stamps a great season, and I really think they're going to pull this one away. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I do see them winning 26-21. I think it's going to be another type of that type of game, but I think at the end of the day, the slow start for what the Raptors have been doing it's a trend that's going to continue, sadly, for them, and it's going to be a tough one. And I think just the fact that they experience in the run game and the pride of that offensive line with the running back group, I think it's going to show. It's going to pay a lot more than they think. So I think the Mexicas will be playing against the Fundidores in the championship.
Mexicas and Fundadors for Daniel, and for me, it's the Cadillos and the Raptors.
Ooh.
So what's going to happen here is that means we're both going to go 1-1. That's what's going to happen. Now,
Yeah.
whichever one that is, we'll find out. Neither one of us are going to go 2-0. I feel like I just don't think one of us will go 0-2. It's just not going to happen. But I think the Raptors are going to start hot in this game.
I love it.
I think the two wins over the Jefes were a situation where it was what they needed. That second game not only proved how hard it is to beat the same team twice, it proves their grit and their determination to get to where they want to be as far as the Raptors are concerned.
Yeah.
And Lopez Guerrero, his growth over the season is going to continue into the playoff football. And I think that first taste of victory there against the Jefes in a close environment like that, it's going to bring them in. This defense is good enough to be able to stop this run game. The question is can they contain Kenneth Allen? Allen is going to be the X factor in this situation. This is going to be another close game. I'm predicting another one-score game. I think it's going to be 27-20. But that game could even be 27-26. It's one of those games that it's going to come down to like a point, maybe two in that situation. And that's kind of where I feel. So I'm going with Cadillos and Raptors in the championship game, and you have the opposites. You have the Fundadores and the Mexicas going in. Now, I think Tim Whitfield will have a good game. I wish nothing but the best for Whitfield. I love watching him play. It's just this team has been too inconsistent since Easter break, and I just don't know what team we're going to get.
Yep.
Right?
Agreed.
That's the big thing. All right, and I want to touch on one more thing before we get into your segment. Joshua Mack, he posted I think it was an Instagram post that the Galgos have not paid their players.
Yeah.
Is there anything to be concerned about here? I haven't seen anything else. I haven't seen anybody else backing this up. I haven't seen anybody else, coming in and corroborating his story. Not saying that he's lying by any means or anything stretch of those imaginations. I've had conversations with Joshua. I think Joshua's a great individual. Is this something to be concerned about? Because we saw what happened with the Reds last year.
Yeah. This is the ugly side of overseas football, as you want to say it, even though, of course, there are neighboring countries to the south. It's always a tough situation when you start seeing things like this happen in reports, because as football fans and as and I know you've watched everything from European football, Mexican football, Canadian football, everything around. The last thing you want to see is leagues start slimming down, right? I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about it before, the XFL and the USFL. When they merged, I was just like you. I was like, man, 20 plus teams possibly in like the next 2 years is going to be great. Everything condensed. And you're like, how could wanting to be smaller be better? You don't want to see this. And for the player standpoint, it's not easy to go live somewhere else for months. It's not easy to go chase this dream of professional football. It's not all glory. It's not all that. And when you do it and you sacrifice yourself and your body and your time, it's tough. It's even tougher doing it pro bono, right, for free and stuff like that. So I really hope everything goes well. I really hope it's not a huge factor going forward, but I also hope it goes better and finds a way through.
Yeah, our comment says here that there are teams with those kind of issues about salaries, and primarily it's Reyes and Galcos. But he said there are some more rumors,
Yeah,
um, for sure. And like I don't want to speculate on rumors. That's not what this show is about. This show is about uplifting and bringing awareness to the sport. But unfortunately, sometimes ugly things rear its head, and it should be mentioned and whatnot. And I hope that they get that all figured out. I hope the Galcos do, and I hope Reyes does. For the future of this league as well, because like we've discussed all season long, the LFA is good football. I think it's a great alternative to the NFL. It's awesome to watch in the spring, and I think that we should, hopefully see these issues correct themselves heading into next year, for sure. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. All right, let's go into your segment. And Chris, you asked how Aaron Dilworth is doing. I believe he signed, but I don't know honestly how well he's doing. To be honest with you, I haven't seen him popping up in the stat book or anything like that. So, Chris has also responded with LFA is a great league. I enjoy it and hope it keeps growing so I can get your game in person. Chris, we do too. Eventually, someday, I would love to get down there to be able to catch a game with the Shady Sports Network crew and live it up. Maybe a
yeah.
maybe a maybe a Galos Negros and Fundadors game.
Oof. Look, okay. Before we go into the segment, before we go into the segment, right? I got a 3 bedroom house, guys. All right, I'm 15 minutes away. I'm 15 minutes away from the board. 20 minutes away from the border. Look, next year, I'm just saying, the championship, it's they're going to be set in certain places. I'm just saying, the live coverage and Shady Sports Network live coverage team.
Hey,
We all get down there. Look, I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's awesome. But yeah, Mike, I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there, boys. Throwing it out there.
I'm planning for a 2026 Pittsburgh trip in the spring for the draft. I have a buddy who lives in Pennsylvania, so we're starting the ball rolling on that one.
There
But I
you
mean,
go.
now knowing you're not that far from the border. I mean, with this, we might need to make
Look,
this work. We might need to
I
make this work.
promise
I'm
you,
just saying.
an Airbnb near the championship game. I know the this one coming up is in Querétaro. That's a beautiful place to be. Um, that's where I went over there for my LFA tryout. Actually, it was pretty far. It was pretty crazy spot, but it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful spot. But yeah, I mean, just think about it, guys. Think about it.
Yeah, you got my wheels turning for sure because I'd love to
Yes.
catch.
Woo!
I'd love to.
Yes.
Woo!
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, Daniel. Let's hop into your favorite segment that you don't know about, or that you didn't know was your favorite segment until recently. Daniel, go ahead, my man.
We'll keep it nice and short and sweet. Para todos los gentes, gracias como siempre, ¿verdad? Gracias por todo su apoyo. Like always, guys, thank you for everything you guys are doing. I really want you guys, te quiero con todo mi corazón decir que el Tazón México, right, the Mexican Championship is coming. It's June 8th, el 8 de junio. Este año, it's going to be an incredible thing to do. It's going to be an incredible thing to see. I want you guys to try to invest into this, right? Dale tus ojos tu apellido. Give your trust, your support. This is something that the LFA is banking on, trying to be bigger, trying to be better. So, gracias a todos for everything that you guys have done. Thank you to everyone for every single thing you guys have been doing, the Shady Sports Network crew. But, mira, el Tazón México, Querétaro, el 8 de junio, este año, hopefully, los fundidores van a estar ahí, pero el amor de fútbol americano de nosotros, de Michael y mí, our love for football is huge. It's massive. So te quiero dar gracias a todos, como siempre, pero el más cosa es, ya viene, el campeonato ya viene, pero fútbol no se acaba aquí, no se acaba nomás en México. Tenemos fútbol todas las partes. So dale chance a Shady Sports Network también. There's football everywhere. There's football all over the world. So again, this is a beautiful time for us to watch it. Stay tuned. Keep in touch. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe, and everything here with the Shady Sports Network. But yeah, man, I mean, dale chance, como siempre. Give it a chance, guys.
And I want to shout out Daniel as well, as we got some really wonderful news that he is going to be sticking around here with us at Shady Sports Network for more than just the spring showcase. He will be back for season 2. He will definitely be back for season 2, but he also has something else going as well. You have a comment in response to you as well.
So Mexico is going to be Mexica's Rescadillos. Ooh, hey, that's a great prediction.
Hey, anybody who is out there listening to the show, watching the show, whatever it may be, whatever it is that you're doing right now, put your predictions down there. We'll talk about them. I mean, we'll definitely talk about them next week on the show, or in real time for sure, without a doubt. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button over the Shady Sports Network as well. Daniel will be back. I think it was in an MMA possibly in the works.
Something with
MMA.
Sir. Yeah, man. Yeah,
it's something within the works in the MMA. He will be back for season 2. As for me, we still have 2 episodes left here on the Spring Showcase. This was a spin-off show of my Summer Showcase, which covers the European League of Football. That is also expanded this year. I have the European League of Football. It's the Summer Showcase, which is still going to be happening. I have a Summer Showcase Overtime, which is me and my co-host is Zach Bronkhorst. He was actually the quarterback for the Angelo State Rams, and he is the current quarterback for the Milano Seamen over there in the ELF. Their season starts this weekend, but we're also bringing you a CFL show. Me and Sam Just are going to be doing what we're calling Summer Showcase Northern Lights.
Ooh.
You know that you're the third person to respond that way.
Look at that,
man. Third person that responded that way.
Guys, why don't you want to tune in? look at the brains that these men have, man. I'm telling you, it's perfect.
Juan has chimed in. He said he loves this show, and he told us to keep it going, fellas, which we will still be doing for sure. So we have those. I have those 3 things coming up for Summer Showcase. Spring Showcase will be back next year as well, of course, because I'm not going to not cover the LFA by any means, and Daniel will be back as my trusty co-host as long as he is willing. And
absolutely.
Yeah, but we still got 2 episodes left, so we're not done yet. We got the championship, and then we're going to have a little bit of a recap. The recap show may not be as long, but we will be bringing you a recap show for pretty much the season / the championship game. I have a quick word from our sponsor, and that's going to wrap it up. So until next week.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school.
Oh, wow.
This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I used to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.